Igbo, River State, some dressed in vigilante attire held sticks, preventing Senator Abe and his supporters from entering the community. He later addressed a press conference describing the incident as an attack on him. He accused the state chairman of the PDP, Desmond Akao, of masterminding it.
When they had the radio that were to hold a meeting there, early this morning, talks led by the personal assistant to the state PDP chairman, Ambassador Desmond Akao, broke into the place, scattered everything, and locked up the place and said we could not hold a meeting there. And the meeting was taken to the private compound of one of our supporters. When we got to Egberu, the border into Yibo, the road was blocked by thugs armed with all kinds of dangerous weapons, guns, machetes, knives, that this is the home of Desmond Akawo and that we could not enter Oyibo. There can be no SDP in Oyibo local government.
But Mr. Akawo denies this.
I'm not part of that, and I will never be part of that. So I know he likes to do drama when the election comes like this. So let him look for another scene, another theater center to conduct his activities, not with my name. The same Magnus, remember during Mbu, that stage that he was fired bullets, and where he was taking drip, he had his wristwatch and everyone was lying down. They removed camera, stood up and left. The same man conducting the same drama. It's not fair, just because I'm from that village. Assuming I'm not from that village, because I think I've built a career for myself that I'm not a hooligan. I'm not somebody that can arrange issue of talks. I don't have anything to do with Congress. I don't have voice around me.
A lawyer, Mike Enaro Eba, has sued the APC presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu over allegations bordering on certificate forgery, falsification of age, and lying on oath. Mr. Enaro Eba sued Tinubu in 3 separate direct criminal complaints filed at the Chief Magistrate Court sitting in Wuse Zone 6, Abuja. He is alleging that Mr. Tinubu lied on oath, having falsely sworn to an affidavit in support of his personal particulars submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on the 17th of June. He also alleged that Tinubu presented a forged Chicago State University certificate to INEC with the intent that it may be acted upon as genuine. More filling stations in Port Harcourt shut down as petrol price increases. That's coming up after the break. Stay tuned. Good afternoon. Jude Omamegbe is my name, and you're welcome back to the news this afternoon. We'll continue with stories once again, starting from River State. The River State Commissioner for Environment, Emenike Eke, says the management of SPA Port Harcourt Mall must show its environmental and safety measures before its planned Black Friday sales. State Commissioner for Environment, Emenike Eke, gave the assessment tour of SPA facility yesterday. Addressing newsmen, the commissioner expressed displeasure over the refusal of the management to show up for the inspection despite being the 48 hours notice given to them.
So they will give them 48 hours notice to be at the facility or the premises to see things for ourselves, what measures they are put, what environmental and health measures, safety measures that are in place. Sadly, we are here. The management of SPA market is not here. They must show us what measures they have put in place. They must show us as a ministry what measures they have put in place before carrying out the so-called Black Friday.
Correspondent Sobio Ruwari reports that the Commissioner for Environment also spoke on why the company has to provide such safety measures.
Friday 18th of November to 27th of November that the management of power market has proposed a Black Friday. In the past, when this activity was carried out, it resulted in a stampede arising from a fire outbreak. It was discovered that certain environmental and safety measures were not put in place before that activity was carried out.
Filling stations in Port Harcourt have increased the price of petrol selling between 210 naira and 230 naira. Some of them were closed for business yesterday in what our correspondent gathered is linked to the recent product distribution issue. But IPMAN Secretary of the Port Harcourt Depot Unit, Chibike Ozoajike, is insisting that there is no need for panic buying. In an interview with our correspondent, Mr. Ozoajike said the recent increase could be linked to the forces of demand and supply as some petrol stations deal with the impact of the recent petrol distribution issues. He, however, said more products are expected into the state.
We can never get more than this. And last time when I said that it was just a little hiccup in the rate of distribution, that is exactly the point. In fact, right now, we have improved distribution. As I speak, a few products are on the way, coming to both PH and every other coastal state that vessels can reach. So, I advise that people should not indulge in panic buying at all. As for the price, marketers should continue to sell at government-related prices.
To business now. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, has said the federal government will do away with petroleum subsidy by June of 2023. Mrs. Ahmed said this yesterday in Abuja, speaking at a press conference to mark the end of the 28th National Economic Summit. She said removal of fuel subsidy is part of the federal government's medium-term plan in the budget. She, however, said that the challenge remains how to go about the removing of the subsidy. As you may know, fuel subsidies gulped 2.565 trillion naira between January and August of 2022, and in the medium-term expenditure framework, the federal government is proposing to spend 3.3 trillion on fuel subsidy between January and June of 2023. To entertainment now, John has a nominee for the Stiff and I know now on Tuesday. This was nominated Future and Drake in the Best Melodic Rap Performance category for the song Wait For You. The song was also nominated in the Best Rap Song category. Thames also received a nomination for being part of Beyonce's Renaissance album. Meanwhile, Burna Boy received a nomination for the song Last Last in the Best Global Music Performance category. In sports, the declared for Djokovic to play at the Australian Open after the Australian government overturned his visa ban. The Serbian tennis star was detained in January over his refusal to be vaccinated against COVID. He was deported from the country 10 days later despite mounting a successful legal challenge. But Immigration Minister Andrew Giles, whose government came to power in May, has overturned the ban and is set to grant Mr. Djokovic a visa. And finally, on the international scene, former US President Donald Trump has launched his third bid for the White House, declaring America's comeback starts right now. At his Florida estate, Mr. Trump said there is a need to save the US. Mr. Trump's announcement comes as some fellow Republicans blame him for the party's lackluster performance at last week's midterm elections. President Joe Biden, who defeated Mr. Trump 2 years ago, has said he may run for re-election in 2024. And that was the news this afternoon. But before we leave, a quick cap of the stories. Governor Wike will commission the Supreme Court to challenge new executive order in the courts. Federal government insists fuel subsidy will end next year. And on the foreign scene, former US President Donald Trump declares 2024 presidential bid. The news was edited by Martha Okere. Cloudy weather in Port Harcourt is expected this afternoon with temperatures of between 27 to 30 degrees centigrade. Please be advised. Collect your PVC and vote. Your vote is yours. My name is Jude Omamigbe. Thank you for being a part of the news and good afternoon.